Can you feel the snug tonight? It is where we drink. Welcome, everybody, to this week's Snowcast, this second episode of our Candemic series. You're here tonight with Eoin and DJ. DJ, how are you getting on, kid?
I'm actually fucking flying it, and I'm flying it because I'm obviously with the Candemic series, drinking 4 drinks in one recording session is not feasible because you're rushing through them and you don't appreciate the beers. So we're doing this thing where we have a drink and a half before we start recording. And I've had fucking like absolute whoppers pre-record, so I'm fucking bouncing. I'm bouncing, and yeah, I'm really fucking looking forward to this. And I will say this, right, to break the fourth wall. The Candemic episode number 1 last week was my favorite recording of the year so far. I really fucking enjoyed it. I enjoyed the build up to it. I enjoyed recording it. I enjoyed the feedback. Like, it's the most feedback I think we've ever gotten from a podcast, and it was all like unanimously positive. So the listeners, you guys are fucking loving it. So believe me, on this end of the podcast, we are fucking so happy we're doing this mad Candemic series. And like, people have been coming to us with breweries from counties we're struggling with and sending us links to their website. So keep that coming, lads, because do you know what? This is the kind of thing that, like, we're storing all this information, and like, there are so many good breweries out there. We can't, there are more than 32 brilliant breweries in Ireland. So this is like something we need to fucking tap into and do more of. So yeah, how am I doing? I don't think the Snowcast version of DJ has never been fucking better, to be honest.
Yeah, man, I'm totally in total agreement with you. This whole series has been not just us coming on a podcast and just chatting. There's been the whole kind of rigmarole of us going into off licenses, talking to breweries, talking to you, the listeners, asking you questions. What cans can we get from counties? Like, so we're 2 weeks in now. That means we're going to be 16 counties, 16 cans deep after these 2 weeks. And we've sourced those 16 cans. And next week we have a few cans tipped in for next week, a few counties tipped in for next week. But we're I wouldn't say starting to struggle, because we actually haven't hit any online platform yet. So I think we're gonna venture into the online sphere now in order to try and order a few cans from counties we haven't gotten from any of our local off licenses so far. Actually, in fact, I must say we've sourced 16, maybe 18 to 20 cans from 3 off licenses in Waterford. So I think we've been doing pretty good, in fairness. Like, but yeah, I loved our little jaunts around. It's been so much great fun. But yeah, actually, I suppose just to tie this all back in, we've kind of garnered a few new listeners from this series. So maybe just to do a little introduction, if you've never listened to the Snowcast before, the Snowcast is a podcast where me and DJ, we drink normally inside in a pub, and we just talk general pub chat. We talk about the beers that we're drinking in the pub, but mostly it's just about the normal shite that you talk about in a pub. It transitioned over the lockdown or pandemic period into us drinking around microphones, and yeah, we've really embraced supporting local breweries, supporting just the whole craft beer industry in general. So yeah, we're happy to have you on board, guys, and yeah, just all the feedback that you have for us is totally loved by all of us. Yeah.
Yeah, and as well as that, like, I suppose if you're a new listener to the podcast, you'll go back to earlier episodes and hear us talking with like the variety. I do think one of the successes of our podcast so far, not to blow our own trumpets, is the fact that we have a good mix in the back catalogue of podcasts where we chat with some of our close friends who nobody outside of us listening to podcasts would know, and podcasts where we talk to breweries, podcasts where we talk to other podcast hosts, podcasts where we talk to people who we've never met before, and podcasts where, like, you know, a couple from Scotland and the States.
I was literally thinking that.
Yeah, we're just barnstorm us in. For those of you who are watching us on YouTube, Owen's got Davy Max as his background, and I've got the snug where the snugcast in Phil Grimes was conceived, not through any sexual um happenings, but purely through us having the pints and the chats. And we're so fucking happy to have everyone on board. To the loyal listeners, thanks a million for your support as always. And like this Candemic series, for me, it's been amazing escapism so far. I felt like we had overdone the pint watch, pub watch kind of stuff, you know, about the pandemic. And obviously this is going to go on longer than anyone anticipated. So this is a brilliant creative way for us to explore new breweries, new beers, and just keep our drinking experiences interested as we move through this uncertain time. And again, it's that kind of escapism, like for us, like literally here tonight, finding breweries in different counties and going to source their beers. But as well as that, then part of the series is trying to learn more about the counties that the beers are from and find random facts and shy talk about the counties. And like, I actually had so much fucking fun doing that bit of like, I put research in inverted commas there into the counties in question tonight, and just was like, right, like what the fuck do I know about County Clare? And I was there a couple of months ago. What did I learn? And I actually fucking retained very little of what I learned there, and it was brilliant to go and fucking look into that and see. So it's a brilliant fucking series, a little mini series for us as podcast hosts, and the listeners certainly seem to enjoy it. That's fucking brilliant. And as well, like we're getting fucking leery like on this, so it's a win all around, I think, the series.
So yeah. So maybe let's just start off. So the Candemic series, 32 cans, 32 counties. In our first episode, we covered 8 of those cans and 8 of those counties. So DJ, you started last time. Will I start this time, or what do you want?
Drive on.
I'll drive on. So again, I'm going to start off the way I drank them tonight, because maybe that's probably just the best way, because the further I get on through these drinks now, I'll probably forget the one that was been furthest away. So what I was drinking first was one of these ones that I got really, really excited about when we ventured into Worldwide Wines to the plinth, and my eyes opened when I saw it. I was like, what the fuck is this spectacular looking beer? So on a lower shelf on the plinth, where the kind of high-end stuff is, was this White Gypsy 2017 Reserve Vintage Stout. And I was like, what the fuck is this? So this thing is in like this green like bottle. It kind of looks like it's like a mini champagne bottle. I'll put it up here now. I don't know, the old virtual background probably won't do justice. But yeah, it's in this kind of like green kind of champagne looking bottle. I was like, this is fucking class. So I was like reading the back of it. So this thing has been aged in a whiskey barrel for a year, from 2017 to 2018. And it's a 7%er, and it's class. Like the aroma of this thing is unbelievable. It has that like proper like oaky whiskey smell off the beer as well. Lovely full body stout. Gave a taste to Kira earlier on. She said it's nearly a stout that you could eat. Like it has that kind of like nearly, I don't know, chewable texture to it. Like, you know, it's real full body to it. And man, I loved it. I actually fell in love with the thing. Like it was something that like I couldn't speak more highly about. And I don't know, I think you might have one of these kind of like aged stouts coming up in a bit, DJ, but I was extremely impressed. This is like, I've had like bourbon stouts and stuff beforehand, but like I don't think I've ever experienced this kind of like proper like whiskey infused taste and smell sensation before. So yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was absolutely I just thought it was extremely, extremely, extremely good. Like, loved it to bits.
I think there's a complete beauty in finding a new technique that you haven't come across, and when your first experience of that is pleasant. And yeah, you're dead right. Like my first beer, which we'll come on to later on, is very similar. Stored in a whiskey barrel for a year as well. And I think like there's a certain beauty about when you get used to tasting different styles and different elements where you do go into it with an open mind as to like, is this a style I've tried before? No, so I need to come into this with an open mind and not have any preconceived notions, especially when it's a stout, because I think Irish people in particular can be very much like, I am going to compare this to Guinness because it is classified as a stout, when actually it's a different, like stout is a broad church, you know what I mean, in terms of definitions of a beer, and there's a load of different styles of stouts. I'm drinking 4 stouts tonight, by the way, and they're all completely different in style. So like it's very good the way you've explained it there, as in like for you as a first time whiskey barrel aged stout drinker, just that fucking shock factor is brilliant. But again, like you, I think like, you know, we're in a WhatsApp group with, you know, 4 other people who've featured regularly on the podcast in the past. For new listeners who go back, Big Dave Quinn, Simon Cahoon, Dodd, Darragh O'Donoghue, and Ollie Sharp, who've all featured in the podcast regularly. And we were talking, Simon put up Left Hand Nitro, the stout from Colorado. That's our logo, in our logo. And was like, it's back, boys, like it's back in Worldwide Wines. And we were chatting about stouts then, because literally everyone in the WhatsApp group happened to be drinking stout tonight. And I think it was brilliant the way you literally put up like, this cost $8.50 and it was worth every cent. And it's like that, like this is, you know, sometimes as beer drinkers we can be a bit snobbish, especially as independent craft beer drinkers, but the appreciation that you've had for this amazing drink, that you have said that for you, drinking one of these and justifying spending $8.50 on that bottle, it's well justified.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. It was, you know, it's not as if like I'm going, actually, well, there's only one left on the shelf, so I was pretty lucky to get the thing. But it's not something that you're going, hey, I'm gonna take a few of these. First of all, it's 7%, so I'm not gonna be hammering these guys home, like. But second of all, it is definitely like an appreciation drink. Like, it's something that you go, look, the taste of this. Like, I appreciate like that this has been aged in like a whiskey cask for a year and everything, and like you're paying for that quality, for that process, which is probably like not making them money. That's just something that like White Gypsy just want to do, to just see what they can get out of it. Like, you know, like it's not like, definitely like storage wise and stuff like that, to like store something in a whiskey cask for a year is probably not worthwhile for them when they're not selling like a bottle of whiskey out of the cask, like, you know. They're just selling like an $8.50 drink out of it, like, you know. So yeah, it's not worth their while, but like what is coming out of it is just amazing. And yeah, I suppose it's probably like an ode to that's a bit naff saying that, isn't it? An ode to beer drinkers. That's a bit of a stupid thing to say, isn't it?
Yeah, you're not in the fucking House of Lords, like.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, but I think you know what I'm trying to say. It's kind of like tipping the cap, I suppose, to the lads that appreciate it, and, you know, this is what we can do, and this is one that we want to do for you, like, you know.
Well, I mean, an awful lot of our grandfathers and grandparents' generation would have drank a Guinness Extra with a whiskey chaser, you know, a Guinness Extra with a baby power.
You're damn right, yeah.
You know what, that for me, that's the nod. It's that, like, you know, that throwback to the complementary nature of stout and whiskey together, and I think that's what it is.
Speaking of throwbacks, right? I'm gonna tell you a story. So for those of you who are new, please go back and listen to the first episode of the Candemic series. But for those of you who know, we're drinking a can from a county, and then we're telling a little story about the county. So this can, sure, actually I never said where White Gypsy is from, but White Gypsy is a Tipperary brewery. So I could have come along and I could have told you a story about Tipperary, right? But I'm actually going to tell you a story about White Gypsy. So I'm actually just on the About Us page of White Gypsy here. And I'm just going to read word for word of the moment that Quillen from White Gypsy thought of setting up, or I suppose thought of brewing. And I think it's such a lovely story. So yeah, I'll just kick it off there. So sitting in one of Heathrow's pubs one glorious summer's evening in 1993, on a 4-hour stopover en route to Vancouver, I witnessed a barmaid performing a very unusual ritual. While trying to pour a beer into a glass, I witnessed it again 10 minutes later and again and again. She was pulling a white ceramic lever with her left hand with what looked like a considerable amount of effort. As the lever arced downwards, her entire upper body arched inwards towards the counter. In her right hand was a pint glass, which she was holding under a swan-necked spout that was below the white lever. Into the glass was flowing some sort of beer, strange-looking stuff. Being a good Irishman, I had my national drink in front of me, but curiosity was really starting to get the better of me. What was the barmaid doing? What were the strange Englishmen drinking? So up I walked, asked the barmaid for a pint of that stuff, pointing to the white lever. She duly obliged, performed the ritual, and placed the pint upon the counter. I walked back to my seat, eyes to the ground, for fear of being spotted by another Irishman and getting the look, you know, the one that says, Jesus, what kind of muck are you drinking now? Back in my seat, settled in nicely, a good book in hand, sun shining in the window, and a lovely red hue coming through the pint. I waited a few minutes before lifting a glass to my mouth and taking the first mouthful, the very first mouthful of real ale, and the rest, as they say, is history. And I just thought that was an amazing, amazing little story. Just like, and I suppose it's that kind of like experimentation that is probably has really hit us as I suppose as part of our growth is in the podcast, and that, like, you know, if you go back to our earlier episodes and we're talking about Heineken, we're talking about bits and bobs, and I suppose our appreciation for things and our discovery and exploration into things, and even there, me talking about like this like whiskey aged stout that I haven't had before. And I just thought that story by Quillen of like that initial spark that ignited his flame for brewing is amazing. What you make of that?
Yeah, brilliant. And I think as well, even like you like, that's lovely that you tell the story there about Quillen and the beginnings of White Gypsy, because White Gypsy were so fundamental to us in terms of branding and setting up a podcast and stuff like this. And like, you know, our initial branding was a White Gypsy pint glass, a picture that I took when we recorded our second episode before we had published any episodes. And like, you know, White Gypsy have always been really supportive of us. So like when it came to picking breweries per counties, there was no doubt that White Gypsy were going to represent Tipperary for us. You know, they're a great brewery and have always been very supportive of what we tried to do with the podcast. And as well, you know, any brewery that Tom Ryan backs as much as he backs White Gypsy, you know, you know, you have to respect them. Tom being our local publican there in Phil Grimes pub, which is, for anyone watching on YouTube, is the pub that I'm virtually set in. Lovely story, a great. Do you know what? I've been that person in a pub somewhere, feeling like that Irish concept of, oh, they've got notions now. You know, when you're trying something new, drinking something, you even get that. Like I find drinking amongst friends, you know, if there's not another craft beer drinker when you're out for a couple of pints, and you know, when the round is 3 pints of Guinness, a pint of Heineken, and what's your man drinking, you know, that kind of way. Like sometimes, or you know, you get sometimes at family events like, would you not drink a real beer? And you're like, well, you're drinking Guinness that's brewed in Nigeria here, whereas actually I'm drinking a real beer that's made in the fucking mountains of Ballyvorney in West Cork, with water sourced from a local well and using fucking hops malt and barley from a fucking farm down the road, you know. So like there is that, like Keelan's talking about the bravery of trying a new beer and then taking that bravery to the extreme of fucking brewing a new beer and setting up a brewery in Ireland at a time when there was not that many besides the big boys. I loved it.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And I'd recommend anyone to go and just go on to that About Us page, because like I've just taken the first bit there called The Moment. So obviously, but there's like the painful learning years and the White Gypsy Brewery and present day and stuff, and just the story of how they started off brewing, because there was no craft beer industry in Ireland, that, and it was so big in the UK that they were export only because they knew they wouldn't survive in Ireland on their own. Like, and it's just a very interesting story. And yeah, definitely would recommend anyone to go onto that page and read that story. It's
and it tells the story of the independent craft beer scene in Ireland, where, like, you know, they only have what was it last year, 2.8% of the market share, and like they deserve double digits. I firmly believe so. So yeah, it was a brilliant story and really well told and really well written, and has translated into a fucking really nice beers.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So that was County Tipperary. DJ, name your can and name your county.
Well, straight away, just like you would have bottled it last time, like pedantic viewers are going to point out that I'm holding up a bottle. But I suppose
fuck the pedantic viewers.
Yeah, fuck the pedantic viewers and listeners. The brewery I went for, the county first is County Clare, in the west of Ireland, and the brewery I went for was Western Herd. A great brewery there in Clare, one that we don't see much in the southeast. I've never seen Western Herd on tap here in the southeast, but again, since lockdown started, as someone who doesn't drink at home that much, Western Herd, through the craft beer community and virtual beer festivals that Brian has run, I've come across a couple of Western Herd beers, and this is one that I attended a craft beer community virtual beer festival in the summer. And with those, you get 12 beers, and the festival is on for like 6-7 hours. So sometimes on a Saturday, you just have shit to do, so you're gone for an hour or so. And this was a beer that I didn't drink on the day. And I looked at it and I read the label and I looked into the beer and I was like, I need to fucking put this aside and keep it for a time. Like, I can't just drink this beer willy-nilly. And I'm so glad I kept it for the podcast and a series like this, because it's worthy of it, I think. And it's a limited edition beer, so it's probably not one that you can get now, unfortunately for the listeners. But again, it just highlights the skill and expertise of a quality independent brewery like Western Herd. And it's a limited 2019 edition Western Herd Dolmen Irish Whiskey Stout. So again, similar to your last beer one, this is also aged for a year in whiskey barrels, and it's aged in whiskey barrels with cocoa nibs and roasted coffee. So it's like, in terms of, like, you know, we talk about gateway beers to independent craft beer in Ireland, and how, like, you know, certain beers like the Keller beer from Yellowbelly is like a bridging beer for someone who's not had independent craft beer, to kind of get them used to just a slightly diverse flavors. This is not a fucking bridging beer. Like, you know, this is the other end of the scale. And it's fucking phenomenal, I have to say. And I like, Jesus, when I think about this beer, when I tasted it first, when I opened the cap and smelled it, straight away I got that like pungent whiskey smell that you get when you smell a bottle of any whiskey. You know, you get that kick, and I was like, right, fuck. So I poured a little bit out and just let it settle, and poured another little bit. And I actually put a bit of thought into drinking this, because I was like, I want to do this kind of some way right. So I had put this beer aside at room temperature for the last while. And then today, when I got home, I put it in the fridge for a few hours and came back to it and took it out of the fridge for maybe half an hour, 40 minutes. So I was probably drinking it at somewhere between 6 and 12 degrees. I'm not too sure. And right, the drinking experience of this stout, it's 7.6%. So don't, if you have a preconceived notion of Guinness, Murphy's or Beamish, like it's a completely different texture. And straight away when you drink it, there's this like absolute bang of very pleasant bang of whiskey, that volatile whiskey, I've taken a sip of whiskey kind of feeling in your mouth, not in the back of the throat. You know, when you drink whiskey, you get that feeling in your mouth, but then the back of the throat burns. You don't get the burning, but you do get that volatility in your mouth. And then all of a sudden it kind of dissolves away into this lovely bittery coffee taste. And then you get this almost like coating of the cocoa nibs, that chocolatey, bittery coating in your mouth. And it's actually like, it is bitter, but it's quite pleasant. So really, really fucking good, a good drinking experience. And when we talk on this podcast about independent craft beer, we talk about the sustainability of the beer producing methods and like the locality, how local a beer is. They aged the beer in whiskey barrels that they got from the Chapel Gate distillery in West Clare. So it's a local distillery that has supplied the barrels. And then Anam Coffee in the Burren in Northwest Clare provided the coffee, the roasted coffee beans. And Hazel Mountain Chocolate, a chocolate supplier from the Burren, provided the cocoa nibs. So like the ingredients have been provided by local suppliers. So everything that's gone into this beer is handled and processed in Clare, which is brilliant. And it was just such a fucking lovely beer to drink. Now the name, I want like right, that's the beer. First of all, Owen, your impressions of the description, blah blah blah.
Yeah, like sounds apart from maybe like the cocoa nibs kind of style, but like that whiskey casking, everything like sounds quite like the White Gypsy as well. And after my tasting of the White Gypsy, definitely something, I know you're saying it's limited edition, so I might be able to get my hands on it. But if they bring it out, I'm sure a lot of these breweries are going to do this maybe seasonally, you know, and like have your like maybe 1 year, some might do a 2 year, whatever, like kind of casking or do it seasonally, like so. And definitely will put my hands on that Western herd, like so. Yeah, and yeah, sounds so exciting. Like I don't know. I was after I had my one, I was just like, this is phenomenal. Like this is, and like as you said, it's, you know, it doesn't have that burny whiskey feel, or it doesn't have that kind of like back of the throat kind of feel that you get with whiskey, but it has that like lovely whiskey aroma off it, that kind of like, I don't know, it really gives you the taste of it through the smell. And yeah, I'd definitely pick it up. But forget about the beer. Tell me about County Clare.
Well, actually, I've got a couple of stories about County Clare, but the first thing is related to the beer, and it's called a Dolmen Irish whiskey sour. And Dolmens are obviously a type of, I'm holding this up for the video. The video watchers is going to be mirror mode, but obviously dolmens are a type of ancient burial system with stones, and obviously County Clare, they have an awful lot of limestone, so they would see these featured quite a lot. And yeah, this is a tribute to a local a great dolmen in County Clare. One of the most impressive archaeological sites in Ireland actually is Powell na Brone dolmen in that has been estimated to be built somewhere between 4,200 and 2,900 BC. So it's a burial setting for 33 people in County Clare in like you know, a couple of millennia before Jesus was strolling around the gaff. And I think it's a brilliant name of a place, Powell na Brone, because when you think about it, it's anglicised from Irish, so Powell na Brone, which basically means the hole of sadness, and it's a burial ground. So that has some sort of fucking haunting beauty about it to begin with, which I think was absolutely cool. But Clare has that fucking real madness about it, that ancient fucking cracked storytelling capacity about it as a county. And I think that's where I'd go. Like, I firmly believe that shy talk in pubs originated in County Clare. Like, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, Clare is just like the people in Clare are just cracked, like literally just cracked people altogether.
Like they're fucking as mad as a bag of badgers, and like they've had some class people come from Clare down through the ages. Brian Boru was from Clare, and one of my favorite stories about Brian Boru was a lad I went to school with came into, like, we had a school band and you kind of had to play the tin whistle in the school band, like most Irish primary schools. And a lad came in with a tin whistle one day that he'd obviously just been baiting off his leg and baiting off everything he walked past, and had a heap of dents. And I just remember the principal picking up his tin whistle one day because it sounded wrong, and saying like, Jesus Christ, your tin whistle's got more baitings than it looks like it's, or what way did he phrase it? Your tin whistle is more dense than Brian Boru's sword, is the way he put it. Like, you know, so a good little one. But yeah, the Burren is one of these mad geographical gaffs where like it's this fucking big massive limestone place that literally, like, until you see it with your eyes, like, you know, you see it in all these Irish people will specifically see geography books laden with the Burren as this kind of geographical fucking anomaly. You fail to appreciate it until you come over the hill from the Ballylane side and down towards the Burren, and you see, all of a sudden you see the limestone hills. You can't do justice to it without seeing it with your own eyes. And the Cliffs of Moher, Ireland's most famous tourist attraction, are in County Clare as well. And they're seriously impressive. Like, it's a bit, they're a bit mad.
Yeah, and actually, is Dumbledore's Cave is just off the Cliffs of Moher there. What's it? Is it in? Oh, it's in, what's the one? The Half-Blood Prince, where he goes in to get
the Horcrux.
Yeah, the Horcrux. Yeah, that's there as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, actually, I always find that as well with it's both Kerry and Clare though. But you know, like fields. I think, are you aware of fields?
I'm familiar with the concept. Yes.
Yeah. So, you know, divisions between farmers' fields or between livestock for fields, and that lads, especially now in Burn, would have just like gotten like slabs of stone and like created like these walls, I suppose, between each of the fields, and like divvied up the fields between them. And like when you look from afar, so say if you're standing on one hill and then, you know, across a valley looking at another hill, and you see like these lines of like stone that have like stood every single storm and weather like thing that has ever happened, because these things are standing for fucking
centuries.
I don't know, centuries, yeah. And like it's an absolutely amazing feat. And like, you know, these things they're stones that are slotted together, where you have found the perfect stone that'll lie on top of another stone that'll slot in under another stone that'll, you know, that's the keystone of another stone. Like it's absolutely phenomenal when you think of the workmanship that has gone into building these walls. Like I'm always so like, I'm like, I can't even fucking build a box, like, you know, and these boys are after like creating these things that have stood the test of time.
But another similarity that Clare and Kerry have is a relationship with islands off the coast of it, and this kind of funny relationship with the sea. And like, did you know that the first ever submarine was invented by a Clareman, John Philip Holland? And do you know what he named his first submarine? The Fenian Ram. So he's a good ram man as well. Like
fair play to him.
He was a good Republican, and not the Yank type of Republican. The good
yeah.
Muhammad Ali's granddad was from County Clare.
What? No way.
Yeah. Muhammad Ali has a genuine biological link to County Clare.
His name was Cassius Clare.
That was quick, because I haven't told you any of this. That was very quick. Cassius Clare. Fuck me. You told me off now, but like, fair play to you. But as well as that, what is Clare like most synonymous with the average Irishman? And it's the Christy Moore song Lisdoonvarna.
Yeah.
Here we go to County Clare, and the Fury song, It's a Long, Long Way to Clare and Here. from Clare to here. And I think that, like, what sums Clare up the most is the Lisdoonvarna Music Festival and also the Matchmaking Festival from Clare. So, like, ultimately, Clare is absolutely synonymous with Irish music, Irish folk music, Irish traditional music, and riding.
Yeah, absolute. Like, I don't know. That is one thing. I know we're both happily attached men, but it is one festival I'd love to go to.
The Matchmaking
Festival. And it's one festival that Snowcast contributor Tommy Keary, I'd love to bring him down to set him up.
We should try and record a podcast on some sort of speed dating at the Matchmaking Festival and see how we get on, like, for the crack. We'll have to 100. Get the permission off the better halves to do it, but it will be.
They can come. They can go. They can go on the other side of the room.
Well, yeah. It's the modern way of having relationships, but genuinely, County Clare is fucking mad. And if you come to Ireland and you don't go to Clare, you're missing out, because it's not one of the most celebrated. You know, in terms of like films and literature and stuff like that, Clare isn't like out there internationally, I feel. But in terms of Irish people, like, if you had the holiday in Ireland, Clare is a mad gaff to go to. And like with lockdown, everybody went to Dublin when they were able to travel within Ireland, because Clare is just fucking mental, and it's a great place for a sesh, and everybody knows it, and they're all fucking mad. So delighted to get Clare in our kind of random-ish draw that I had some Western Herd, and I really wanted to drink this beer and drink it for a good reason and a good cause. It's a really good beer, and Clare is just a fucking really good county.
Yeah, like I know we're banging on about Clare, but do you know that clip that came out this week of that trailer called Wild Something Time or something like that?
Yeah, where Christopher Walken does the worst Irish accent ever.
Yeah, Chris Walken, your man Jamie Dornan, is it, and Emily Blunt, and
John Hamm as well from from Mad Men.
From Mad Men, yeah. But anyway. So, like, this is what an Americanized interpretation of what it is to be Irish, and it's, you know, kind of like a peg sayers, oh, you're so poor, blah blah blah, shite. Like, I tell you, if you go down to Clare, you know what it is to be Irish. It's that beautiful mix of like the traditional and like the modern and the fucking re-raw and rula bula and everything like about it. It's, you know.
Well, it's this, like, you know, you talk about like the stone walls they had to make by hand and stuff like that, and I'm talking about the crack. It's that mix of like they worked like fuck, but then they made up for it with the crack. You know what I mean? Like, it was a slog and then a crack.
Yeah, exactly.
There was no in between. You were 100% slaving and you were 100%
cracking.
Yeah. Speaking of cracking on to your next beer on.
My next beer is so it's a bit of a cheater. So it is from County Derry, and this is it's from Heaney Brewery, but we actually chose, I think DJ has a Heaney brew, but I actually had this in my fridge, and I was just like, look, I'm gonna go for this. So this is actually a Yellowbelly and Heaney crossover called I'm Too Old for This Wit, and it's an orange and rosemary wheat beer, and oh god, it's lovely. Like, it's such a light beer to drink. It has this lovely, like, rosemary, like, you never see that. Like, again, I said it in the last podcast as well, I love the Yellowbelly crew, and just like how inventive they are, using ingredients that you wouldn't use. And it's one of those ones, DJ, you're a man who loves a whiff of a beer, and a whiff of this guy, oh Jesus, like you get that bang of rosemary off it. Like, it's so cool. Again, really cool ode, really cool ode to Lethal Weapon on the front of it, like, I'm too old for this shit, and has like the Yellowbelly character again, like, it's just phenomenal. like just a lovely solid beer to drink. Like it is, it has like nice little kind of subtle orangey taste, that lovely kind of rosemary in it, and wheat beers as well. Like they're just so nice to drink in general. Like I'm actually a big fan of it. I've ploughed into the stouts now tonight, so I'm not sure if it was the best mix, but I actually quite enjoyed the kind of break as well. So yeah, it's phenomenal. Like again, just shout out to the lads for just fucking trying whatever they want with beers. Like I love it. I love just like that, just fucking ingenuity, like just going for it. Like, so yeah, I would recommend that. Have you tasted that, DJ? That orange and rosemary?
No, it's one of the beers that I have on my list if I can get my hand on it now and try and get a couple of cans. Because the last month I've had a couple of the Yellowbelly limited edition beers that have been in that area, as you said earlier, on those shelves under the plinth where the kind of more expensive cans are in Worldwide Wines, and there's some really good selections there. So like I've had some. I know we're focused on Heaney right now and Derry, but in terms of those collaboration beers and those special limited edition beers, I haven't put my hand on that one. But I think a wit is a brilliant technique. I think it's, again, to come back to a phrase that I've used in the past, it's omni-seasonal. You can drink that style of beer all year round. It's not like a really fruity, hazy IPA that's pure summer drinking. And yeah, the way you've described that beer there now, it's almost like something that you want to have after having a nice dinner. And you're like, right, I want to just have one beer now that's going to really fucking pique my interests. It sounds like it's going to tick all those boxes.
Yep. So last week I went to theulsterfry.com for my facts. So I'm back again for it with 9 amazing facts about Derry. Derry, it has more names than anywhere else in the universe. So it has Derry, Londonderry, Legendary, Dira, the Maiden City, Stroke City, the Wall City. So even people there don't know what to call it without starting an argument. A whopping 92% of divorces in the city start over disagreements about where they live. It's illegal. This is something that I didn't know anyway, but it's illegal to serve food in Derry without a side of tobacco onions. So over 90% of onions in Northern Ireland are sent to Derry for tobaccoization, a process in which local women chop and peel onions while chain smoking Lambert and Butler and gossiping before going to get fried somewhere. The onions, meanwhile, are sent off to be cooked in really hot oil. 82% of Derry women are makeup artists. So most Derry women are employed by each other to do one another's makeup in a complex house of cards that leading economist warns will topple when they realize they can do it themselves. And the last fact I'll give you there is that Derry's biggest news source is their Facebook buy it and sell it page. It was originally used for selling shite to people that was laying around the house, but it is now a community notice board for spreading rumors, outing cheating husbands, finding out what Chinese does the best curry sauce, and creeping on random strangers. It's rumored to be where Seamus met his last girlfriend. So yeah, I love this Ulster Fry website. It's just so good, like just so fucking stupid on it. Like,
I mean, I love the way we've tasked each other with getting random facts about different counties, and you've basically gone on the Nordy version of the Waterford Whisperer News to get your facts.
100%, yeah. And what I will though, I'll give you. So the Yellowbelly and Heaney can is "I'm too old for this wit," which is an "I'm too old for this shit" from what's their man's name, Murta or something in Lethal Weapon. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And a quick fact about that is that, well, it's not about your man Murta, but it's that Mel Gibson and Bruce Willis were each considered for each other's roles in Lethal Weapon and Die Hard, where both movies were produced by Joel Silver. So Bruce Willis was offered the roles of Martin Riggs in Lethal Weapon, but turned it down. And a year later, he did Die Hard. And Gibson was considered for John McClane as well, but I think he got caught up in. No, I think they just turned it down. But yeah, it's crazy. I always think it's mad, like when you try and like think about films, like with like an alternative character in it as well. Like I always think that's mad. Like there's one with Will Smith as well that he turned down something fucking huge, isn't there? I can't remember, but yeah, I'm always just like, fuck, it's like, yeah, I can never imagine, like, fucking, especially Bruce Willis in Die Hard, like I can't imagine anyone else playing that John McClane role. Like,
yeah, it's just synonymous with him, similar with fucking Lethal Weapon and Gibson playing Riggs. But coming back to Derry, how good is fucking Derry Girls?
Oh, stop. Fuck, I should have done something like that. I shouldn't have given myself like 20 minutes to research these facts. Like,
if you just Google Derry instead of looking at the Ulster Fry, you'd have been fine. But Derry Girls, for anyone who hasn't seen it, is brilliant. It's brilliant. Like, for people who aren't familiar with Derry, it almost has its own self of introspective humor that like the rest of Ireland looking at Derry Girls might half get, but we still, like, it's almost like there are jokes in Derry Girls that are Derry specific that I kind of don't get, but I know it's funny because if I was from Derry I would get it. So it's really well written and as well, speaking of Heaney Brewery and Down, County Down, which you featured last week with Boundary, they did a collaboration Imperial Stout called I Can Now See the Stars, which was fucking phenomenal, which featured in one of them virtual beer festival packs that I attended during the summer with the crack beer community. So like, just fucking Derry, great spot for the crack, great sense of fucking introspective humor, love doing each other's makeup, and they fucking produce quality beer.
Yeah, that, like, as you said about like Derry Girls, like that is a fucking phenomenal show. One scene that always, like, you know what you're saying about, like, say jokes about like Derry, jokes about that period of the kind of troubles / like pre Good Friday Agreement, like just pre Friday, like what, 90s? It's like 90s, isn't it? Like that Derry Girls is shot in, like, you know, just
it's dead in the
I think the Good Friday Agreement features in one of the episodes, isn't it?
Yeah. The
season
of the negotiations.
Exactly, yeah. So it's around that time period, but just one scene that always sticks out to me is just like where, like, they're on the school bus and they're like going to school, and there's just like a bomb check on the bus on their way into school, and like the police just come onto the bus and like are just checking, and like there's like a bomb scare and all this kind of thing, and like they just treat it as so normal, like what's going on, and it's just amazing where they're just like, you know, it's like they're like ripping the piss out of the police that are coming on like fully armed. It's just like, oh, Jesus Christ, I can't even imagine what that was like, and it's that humor that was about it, but like it's also like a very good reflection of probably like the humor that was there at the time of like having to deal with that situation, like that kind of like dark humor about the whole thing of like, you know, like just people kind of like laughing at the people with guns and stuff. Like it's so good. Like,
but even for us, like as you know, people who grew up in the 90s, far removed from the troubles on the border and that whole conflict, like we did grow up far removed from it, and like, you know, as you travel internationally, like people are like, oh my God, what do you think about this? And it's like we are genuinely far removed from it, so we're not authorities on this subject whatsoever. But it's mad the way, like, say, someone the exact same age as us would have been on a bus that was searched by armed police forces in that manner as children on this island. And yet, you know, we have previous podcast episodes where we talk about traveling and we talk about experiences of, you know, armed officers in random countries coming on the buses and how alien it is to us, yet it happened on this island. So it's just a mad part of our history that is very, very recent, and it's easy to forget how recent it is. Yeah. And I think DerryRascals captures the whole, I suppose, fucking proximity of the madness of an armed military struggle on this island so recently, with the fact that these girls are just going around trying to get the shift and
sneak a few naggins and stuff. And
that scene where there's like a bombing. I can't remember which bombing or some is referred to, and they have the Cranberries playing in the background, and the girls are just on the stage dancing and living their best lives, but the parents are at home seeing this horrific news. And just the fucking juxtaposition of it all is fucking brilliant television. Like, it really genuinely is moving, brilliant television. And Derry's class. I fucking love Derry. Shout out to Aoife Grace Moore, journalist.
Good stuff. Right. So that's 2 cans, 2 counties by me. DJ, what's your second county?
So I have the nominated nation's capital next in Dublin. Which, you know, Cork people would dispute, and I've Cork coming up after that as to what should be the capital. But I have Dublin next, the capital of Ireland, and I have a brewery that we fucking love. Like, we cannot speak highly enough about Rascals Brewery in Inchicore in Dublin. We absolutely love them. And the next can, basically, after drinking at Dolmen, I was like, I need something really contrasting now, because if I go straight into some fucking proper stout, I'll be leery. I won't be able for this podcast. I'll be on the floor in a fetal position. So I was looking at the beers I was going to drink, and I had the other 3 of them there, and I was like, what'll I go for next? So I've gone for this, just for the viewers on YouTube. I've held the can up. It's Rascals the Candyman chocolate salted caramel stout, 5.5%. And it's every bit as confusing as it sounds. It's every bit as delicious as it sounds. I really genuinely do not know what to make of this beer. And like, Rascals staples are up there with everyone. Like, there are, like, we've featured Rascals so much on this podcast. Yankee IPA,
Fruitopolis,
Like, they have so many absolute
Happy Days, fucking so good.
Oh, like 100%. They have great beers all together. And then they come out with these, like, we've had the Rascals Milkshake Pale Ale that you fucking love, featured on a previous podcast. So they do go for really out there beers. And I've tried this Candyman tonight, and it has completely fucked with my head, because it's delicious. It's a very, very nice drink. But again, what I said earlier when I was talking about the Dolmen, and I was saying you need to remove the concept of what a stout should be from your head before you drink it. The same thing applies here, and I've struggled to do it because it is nothing like any stout I've tasted before. I've had chocolate stouts, I've had coffee stouts, I've had oatmeal stouts, I've had whiskey aged stouts, I've had nitro stouts, milk stouts, the whole lot. This is different, so different. Like, it genuinely has fucked up with my brain drinking it. And it's like I said, it's 5.5%. So like it's very much like, you know, it's what am I drinking? There's a good bit of kick to it. In terms of that dark chocolate and caramel, it's like, you know a caramel slice that has dark chocolate on top of it, and you go to eat it and you think it's milk chocolate, and you get that bitter, like almost that bitterness, like that you're not expecting. There is that about it, and it's an incredibly interesting drink to drink. It's not something you're going to drink 5 of, and I don't think it's intended to be sessionable. I think it's intended to be like, I want to try something random that's going to intrigue me and interest me, and it's very much hits those buttons. And yeah, I love how out there Rascals are with these drinks that they put out. It's genuinely thrown me. And like I said, we've had chocolate stouts. Chocolate stouts tend to be bitter though and have coffee notes. And like we have had coffee stouts and chocolate and coffee stouts and all these different varieties. There's a sweetness to this that you just do not associate with stout. And I genuinely appreciate what they've achieved in the brewing. And like they've gone straight out, like they've called it the fucking Candyman. Like this is what they're trying to achieve. They're trying to basically produce a really sweet stout, and they've completely fucking nailed the brief. And I think you'd love it. I think my brother Eoin would really, really like this beer.
Yeah, I'd love it. I actually would love to taste that. Like,
yeah,
and even just to go back to the can itself, like it looks like the Candyman, doesn't it? Like it's like literally like
it's really Wonka-esque, like.
Yeah, it's like that episode of The Simpsons where, you know, Homer goes to like, you know, we're from Germany, you know, the land of chocolate, you know, and it's like, and like, yeah, it's like that. It's like that.
Exactly that.
It's that beautiful, like, yeah, candy-esque, like, rounded, kind of bubble lettering and stuff, like, and those kind of pink and brown and orangey colors. Like, it's so cool. Like, they've absolutely nailed like that side of it as well. Which again, just to throw back to last week's episode where we were just so enamored by the effort that like these brewers are putting into like putting their putting so much effort into their marketing of the beers and stuff. And like I just think Rascals as well, like such a clean looking can, like all of those ones, like you're just the coloring and everything, they're just colors that you just want to pick up. Like they're so cool, like, you know, and like that's one as well that you're like, do I want, if I want a sweet stout, like this is literally the can that I'm going to pick up because it looks like a sweet stout. Like it looks like a sweet stout can.
And it's like, it's the idea kind of like dessert drink. Like it is like dessert comes to mind when you're drinking it. And as well, the one thing I will say about it too is like, you know, I'm more of a savory person and I still enjoyed it. Like I am much more like my palate is more complementary towards savory flavors and savory tastes. And I still really enjoyed it. It is very sweet at the start and it's a bit of a shock, but like you do quickly acclimatize to it. And like, it's one of those, sometimes with these kind of like sweeter, more out there beers, it's almost like the first two sips are fine, but it's very difficult to drink a pint of it. It actually is, it becomes a lot more easier to drink as you go. And in terms of Dublin then, I was like, right, what am I going to say randomly about Dublin? And I just have a few quick things really on Dublin, because like it's like one of the most storied cities in the world, and like it, you know, you've all these
boring. It's boring out fucking county, like.
But you've all these like poets and authors and bands and musicians that come from Dublin.
Shite, like, yeah.
But actually, I just shout out to Finn Dwyer there, like armored cars and tanks and guns came to take away our sons, but every man must stand behind Finn Dwyer. Like a Viking city, they in terms of like the integration of the Vikings into Ireland, Eoin was the first half Viking, half Celtic lord of Dublin, which was pretty cool. And I love the way that Dublin is the English name of the city, but the Irish name is Ballyauclia. And actually Dublin town was formed by the merging of two villages, Dovling, which basically translated as Blackpool, because of the water of the Liffey, and Ballyauclia, which means the fort of the Reed, the fort of the Reed hurdles. So it was basically this marshy gaff and this riverside village came together and decided to build a wall around it, and then it literally evolved into the nation's capital. And there are some pretty cool random facts about Dublin. O'Connell Bridge is as wide as it is long. It's the only bridge in Europe that has that feature.
So it's the widest bridge in Europe as well.
Is it? Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
And Phoenix Park is the largest park in Europe too.
Oh, yeah.
So There's a few good things about Dublin, including Rascals Brewery. Check it out. They're in Inchicore, great spot. When the lockdown's over, we can't wait to head up there and record a podcast with them guys. We've been saying it for ages. But yeah, fucking moving on. Owen, what's your third drink?
Actually, so I have a quick GAA fact about Dublin, right? And it goes back to your Balla your Balla phrase there. So in Croke Park, there is no, so Croke Park is a neutral stadium for the GAA. So there's a dressing room 1 and dressing room 2 in Croke Park, and they are given out they're given out by alphabetical order. So for Dublin, they're not even given out. It's not even Balla. Dublin actually go by Auchlia in the Gaelic. So Dublin actually nearly are always dressing room number 1. So they actually nearly have a home dressing room, which is funny because everyone considers them the home team anyway in Croke Park anyway.
But the crafty bastards, just like Rascals. Come here, actually, two cans each. Time for a quick break, I think.
So I think we'll go for a little pace. I have to get a can, and so
it's either a word from our sponsors or a song from ourselves. We don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. So this podcast is brought to you by Acast. So Acast will insert a song from ourselves or a word from our sponsors, depending on how lucky or unlucky you are. So yeah, enjoy, guys.
Can you name the brand of non-alcoholic stout? A massive recall, it is assets roll out 0-0 0-0. Yeah. An email went out to send them all back. They're contaminated. They'll turn a shite black. 0-0 0-0. Yeah.
The Federal Highway Commission and Diageo have announced Guinness 0.0 unsafe for human consumption or to use as diesel for your car.
And we're back on the stouts. We're back in the room. We're back on the stouts. The Snowcast has returned. So 2 cans down, 2 to go. No, sorry, 4 cans down, 4 to go. 2 cans each. So I am on O'Hara's Folláin Extra Irish Stout. So this guy is it's not even representing. It is from County Carlow. And like O'Hara's, they're a good old solid brand. Like they're kind of like, I don't really know the story about O'Hara's, but like they're nearly kind of like a little micro brewery. Like they seem to be absolutely everywhere. Like they're not owned by anyone, are they? Or like fucking like we're not like up in like fucking Diageo or anything here now, are we? Like they're a pure and utter craft brewery.
No, they were like the Carlow Brewing Company back. I think they're like the thing with O'Hara's is like they're almost like they're definitely up there with like, you know, some of the bigger craft breweries in Ireland because they were founded like back in the 90s. Like I think it was like 95, 96. They
literally have some footing in the market. Like it is phenomenal. And like, sorry, my little thing there about Diageo or anything might have come across as negative, but I was actually just so amazed as to like how much you see them everywhere. Like there's like it's so good. Like and I like over the initial lockdown period where I was kind of tipping into tipping into offies and stuff initially, O'Hara's played a big part. Like some of those deals 4 for 10 and stuff like that on O'Hara's in my local offie here, was getting like that hop adventure and some of their double hopped IPAs and stuff like that, and they're really good. Yeah, but anyway, just to say that this Folláin was something that I was drinking back in the lockdown when you couldn't get a pint, or you couldn't get a pint of stout poured for you or anything like that. And God, it's lovely, like, you know, and has that kind of a nice little kind of like vanilla-y kick off it, um, um, which is really nice, and really solid stout. And you know, remember we were saying earlier on there today about bridging beers, and you were saying, oh, the Western Herd definitely wasn't a bridging beer. I'll tell you what, this is, I could actually say this is probably a bridging stout.
Yeah, Lamb Folláin has been a popular one in Cork, like for people who are trying to move away from macrobreweries for a long time. Like I think O'Hara's has always been kind of a brand that has been known to be an independent craft beer. You see O'Hara's signage in a lot of places, and even like I think O'Hara's has transcended the kind of independent local craft brewery in terms of like, you know, even if you go on your holidays to southern Spain, you're likely to see O'Hara's branding there as well, you know. I've always found that, and like Lamb Folláin, you see it was one of the first non-macro brewery beers that I ever tasted was Lamb Folláin, like, and it's a really, really good beer. It's a really, really good stout. It's a lovely fucking stout. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was one of the taps when Grady's Yard in Waterford, the Yellowbelly beer tap room, hosted their Stout and Porter night, the first winter that they were open, and Lamb Folláin was on the menu that night, and I think we helped ourselves to a couple of pints of it.
Yeah, that's actually funny what you're saying there about like the like that you'd see it in Spain or something like that, because you know, like on the front of the bottle here, it's like O'Hara's Lamb Folláin extra Irish stout, like, you know, so it is obviously trying to market itself to a foreign audience as well, like, you know, just having
I'm pretty certain I'm pretty certain Lamb Folláin was bought by that O'Hara's there's like a foreign investor from Spain or somewhere like that came in. I think I remember, like, I think when I was in Catalonia last summer, and I think I remember reading that somewhere, or something, like literally Googling like, why am I seeing O'Hara's in Spain?
Yeah, actually, yeah, there's a load of foreign writing on the background in terms of like all the translations of the English as well. Like I think it has about like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different languages on the back. Fair play to them.
It's a great beer, and it's a good brewery, and like they're all over the place. You know, they're in supermarkets, they're in off licenses, they're in pubs in Ireland and abroad, and they copped on really early, and they do a good job. Carlo wise, then on, what have you for us?
So I have a few little things from this is from carlotours.ie. 5 facts you probably didn't know about County Carlo, but I'm going to give you just 3. So Easter is one of the most important days of Christianity, but in the 5th and 6th century there was a divergence within the church as to how to calculate Easter, and basically in a nutshell, County Carlo in I think it was Loughlin Bridge, was it, or Old Loughlin or something in County Carlo, that they actually like determined how Easter was going to be calculated. I thought that was pretty cool, like, you know. Secondly, now this is a pretty fucking cool one, right? Carlo was once the capital of Ireland. Never knew this, right? Carlo Castle was constructed by William Marshall around 1207 to 1213 to guard the vital river crossing, and it served as capital of the Lordship of Ireland under King Edward III from 1361 to 1374.
No wonder the Brits aren't around anymore, and they're trying to make Carlo the capital.
I know, yeah.
Carlo's a good spot. Like Loughlin Bridge is a really good place to go for a pint. Again, a place that has good music around it. And how can we mention Carlo without our fucking friends in Tully's? who have Tully's Bar there in Carlow and have their sister pub here in Waterford. Are a fucking phenomenal bar. That
I remember when I was in college. Everyone was banging on about this place called, I think it was called it was called the Foundry in Carlow, big nightclub there. How best nightclub in Ireland and all this shite like about it. And now I'm making this up, but I think that the same people who own the Foundry in Carlow opened up the Foundry in Waterford and bought the Foundry in Waterford. So then there was big hype about this Foundry in Waterford. But then that turned out to be an utter disappointment.
Yeah, the Foundry in Carlow is shite. I was in it once and it's not.
Oh, that's also shite.
I think like you enter the Foundry in Carlow through like the hallway of a shopping centre or something, like, you know, if I remember correctly. So it's not great, but look, if they stock O'Hara's and you can buy local beer there, fair fucks to them.
And my final Carlow fact is going back to bridges as well, but the oldest working bridge in Europe is in Loxton's Bridge in Carlow. So there you go.
Okay.
Yeah,
Bridge by name, bridge by nature.
Yeah.
Right, so my third drink and my third county tonight is County Cork. A county that obviously we both have close connotations. I grew up and went to school in Cork, and we both went to university in Cork. But despite the fact that we went to university in the city, and I went to school in the city, and despite the fact that we have often had breweries and drinks from East Cork on the podcast, like Kildare Brewing Company, etc., I was like, fuck it, I'm definitely going for something from West Cork. And again, tying in with the kind of similar vibes that I got from Kerry last week about Bale Bawn from Bure Cork Arena and the West Kerry Brewing Company. I've gone for Stag Stout.
Oh,
the My Dear Brewing Company, which we have mentioned in the podcast in the past, a quality brewing company. Every beer that Nine White Deer produce is gluten-free, which I fucking love, because I'm not a celiac. I don't have an intolerance to.
You don't have seals.
I don't want to have seals or an intolerance to gluten, but at the same time too, it's really, really good that they're fucking catering to that cohort of people, as well. And it's a really, really nice beer. It is Stag Stout. It is I'm not sure, 4.2%, so it's fairly sessionable as well. And it's this incredible stout, because the one thing I really get a bang off it is vanilla. So again, like I've had a fucking whiskey stout. I've gone to the exact opposite end of the spectrum to get a fucking caramel stout that's really, really sweet. And this vanilla has a lovely sweetness to it, but it's a cool kind of texture. It's a really drinkable stout. It's really, really good. Like I said, it's gluten-free. And it's from a top-notch brewery in Nine White Deer that is from Ballyvorney in County Cork, which again, similar to the West Kerry Brewing Company, which is in Cork Arena, a Gaeltacht in Kerry. Nine White Deer are based in Ballyvorna, which is a Gaeltacht in Cork. So again, it's a beer that is producing is a brewery that's producing quality beer based on locally sourced ingredients from an area that is predominantly an Irish language speaking area. So it really is ticking on my fucking boxes before I even taste it. And then the fact that the beer is top notch just fucking is the icing on the cake, to be 100% honest with you. And what I love here is, like, on the bottle itself, it says like a Seoliach an Bheor Seo in the Gaeltacht Muscary, which basically is Irish for this beer was brought to life in the Gaeltacht of Muscary, which is just fucking hauntingly beautiful, to be quite honest with you. Have you? I know that I drink a good bit of Nine White Deer beer, and when I get the opportunity to drink it, I jump at the opportunity, because, like, in our interactions with them online and from what I know of them, they are fucking really sound people who are producing great beer, and again, like, are committed to gluten-free, locally sourced beer, which is something that I really, really respect. Have you had much of the Nine White Deer brewery on?
No.
I look, listen, like, my brother-in-law Rory Rory Clancy up in Uachtarard in
I was like, you don't
Galway.
have a brother called Rory Clancy.
My brother-in-law, Rory Clancy, up in Uachtarard in Galway, who runs Powers Thatch Pub. I was up there last year with my other brother-in-law, Noel Concannon, who is a celiac, and Rory had 9 White Deers, Stag Sear, the pale ale, in bottles there for Noel, which is gluten free as well. And like, it's just this fucking really, really good brewery, and it's great to see, like, you know, again, like Uachtarard is just literally on the border of the Connemara Gaeltacht as well. So you see these Irish speaking regions looking out for each other, supporting Irish speaking suppliers and stuff like that. It was really, really good to see. And it's a fucking delicious brewery, delicious beer. And when we talk about Cork, I was like, right, what am I going to come up with ways to talk about Cork? I think first thing is, you know, the way, like, our overseas listeners might not be aware, or maybe they are aware, that every county in Ireland, and we're doing a beer from every county in Ireland, has like a nickname. And Cork's nickname is the Rebel County, in terms of like the rebellion, and a lot of the agitators for Irish independence came from Cork. And it's this time of year, I think, is very, very pertinent, because the school that I went to, CorkLough, the North Mon, in the north side of Cork City, were very central to a lot of the rebellion aspects of Cork and that nature of it. So in 1920, 2 Lord Mayors of Cork died, Terence McSweeney and Thomas McCurtain. One of them died at the hands of British soldiers, and another one died on hunger strike, protesting British rule in Ireland. They both went to the same school I went to, and they both died in 1920. So in 1920, Cork had 3 Lord Mayors, who were all like socialist Republican Lord Mayors. So that kind of rebellion aspect of it was pretty cool. It's just really cool that I think, like, you know, Terence McSweeney died 100 years ago. Very recently, it's only a couple of weeks since he centenary of his passing on hunger strike. And also the War of Independence in Ireland and the Civil War was heavily contested in Cork. And some of the most pertinent and some of the most striking and storied parts of Ireland throughout the War of Independence and Civil War, some of the most horrific acts took place in Cork. And the most pivotal aspect of the Civil War took place in Cork at Ballinablaw, where Michael Collins was shot dead in the Civil War. And yeah, but this is the thing, right? This is what I think is striking about Irish history and the way Irish history is told, is that Michael Collins is obviously immortalised in the Jim Sheridan movie, portrayed by Liam Neeson in that movie, Michael Collins. And like, we would have grown up hearing about Michael Collins as this incredible man, because Eamon de Valera, since the merge, has not been as cool as maybe, like, you know, people made him out to be in the 70s and 80s. And I suppose there's this thing where, like, when you go to Ballinablaw at the ambush site where Michael Collins was shot dead, and again, like, talking about previous podcast episodes where, like, Finn Dwyer of the Irish History podcast, in an episode we did with Finn called Rasputin, Robespierre and Joseph Mary Plunkett Walk into a Bar, he talks about the guy who purportedly shot Michael Collins, and nobody has ever admitted to shooting Michael Collins. But the site of Ballinablaw is marked by a Catholic cross, a kind of very small monument. And just goes to show how the importance of winning the Civil War and telling the story of Ireland's fight for independence was, that not that far away in West Cork is the ambush site where Tom Barry ambushed the Black and Tans. And there's a massive, like, huge memorial to Tom Barry at that site, and its importance is like, you know, cannot be understated at that site. Whereas the importance to Michael Collins and the place that he was shot dead is kind of downplayed when you get there. It's very underwhelming. And I thought that's just an interesting look back on Irish history. And like West Cork, where the 9 White Deer Brewery is located, it's this rural, isolated area where people are, like, you know, West Cork people are very similar to Kerry people in that they're just this breed of their own, and they're fantastic people to be around, great crack, but at the same time quite a suspicious type of people. And it's easy to see why. And just the history of West Cork is incredible. And the fact that this region region contributed so much to Ireland's independence and Ireland's sense of identity now, and also like an awful lot of the darker aspects of Irish history. I just thought it was really cool, and it was something just maybe that our listeners mightn't be overly familiar with, particularly our listeners abroad. So I was like, fuck it, lads, if you're look into that shit, and if you come and visit Ireland, go and see Béal na Bláth, because it is a really important historical site in Ireland. And yeah, it's underwhelming, but its significance can't be overstated.
Yeah, I think one of the most underwhelming facts about it is that signposts to get to Béal na Bláth just have ambush site. Like
yeah. So my grandfather loves Michael Collins, right, and is obsessed with him. Like my 10th birthday present from my grandfather was Michael Collins' autobiography, right? He's never been to Béal na Bláth, and myself and my uncle plan on bringing him. And I can't wait till we get to that crossroads where it says ambush site, and I just can't wait to be in the back of the car to say to him, Jesus, if he saw the sign, you think he wouldn't fucking go down there.
Yeah, I've seen pictures on like Reddit and stuff of like people putting up photos of like, say, like a signpost like to the right, like, you know, like saying like, you know, ambush site to the right, and people be like, I might turn left, so here.
Oh, top notch. Owen, what's your fourth drink for the second week of the Candemic series?
Yeah, so my fourth and final can. Jeez, I haven't even had a look at it, because this is this is the one I've been playing catch up on all the cans I've been talking about beforehand. But this is actually one that I'm drinking at the moment. So it is called Arethusa by Gill, and it's their Oatmeal Stout, and it's a 5.4%. And it's lovely. Like, again, a lovely look. DJ,
before you go on, right? I'm sorry to interrupt you now, but I just want to say, like, this is not coordinated, and we don't tell each other what order we're going to drink this stuff in, and we don't really look into each other's drinks. And you started off with a whiskey barrel stout, and I then had a whiskey barrel stout, and then you went to, what was your second drink again?
So I went with the wheat beer was second. So we
right. So you went with the wheat beer, something different, and I went with like a candy drink, something really different. Yeah. Your third stout you described as you said something about vanilla, and I literally had a vanilla stout next, and now you're like, oh, my next beer is like an oatmeal stout, and my fourth beer is an oatmeal porter. Like, this is completely on.
I know, this is weird. I was actually thinking this on the last one as well. When you said vanilla on the last one, I was like, no way, this is ridiculous.
But I genuinely have like an oatmeal porter next, so like it's completely like unintentional. But anyway, sorry for interrupting. Drive on,
man. But yeah, no. Again, as I was going to say, stout season is among us, and I'm loving it. Like, I'm actually loving it. Like. Oh, Jesus. Like, if I could have the fridge here just full of stouts, like, I'd be the happiest man on earth. Like, it's so good. Like, this one is like pure smooth, like, going down. Has that kind of lovely, it has a really, really, really nice chocolatey taste off it as well. Like, kind of like it's not as bitter as a dark chocolate. It's nearly like milk chocolatey, like but yeah, it's lovely. Look, I can't say enough about stout season, and just tipping into them, and like it's such a comfort drink as well, isn't it? Like, you know, like I think during the summer months with like your pale ales and all those, like, you know, there's that excitement, there's the fruitiness, you know, there's the bubbliness, there's the like the carbonation, everything about like those beers is like, you know, pretty exciting. It's pretty it's pretty like high tempo. That sounds a bit weird, but it is a bit more it's a bit more fresh or something like that. Whereas like this stout season now is just pure comfort food, isn't it? Like it's just like that kind of like silky, smoothie, like, you know, flow of beer that's going down. Like I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I want to add to that there and say, like, you know, I think you will completely agree with me with this in terms of that. We've both gone from the, you know, the high percentage whiskey barreled kind of like taster stouts that you'd have one or two of, to the kind of like, you know, out there limited edition beers that you're like, right, this is different. Again, that you'd have one or two of. To the kind of vanilla stouts that you would have a couple of drinks of, but again, it's like, you know I'm drinking something different here. This oatmeal porter that I'm drinking, that we'll get into again in a bit, and I think it's the same with your oatmeal stout here. This style, this type of beer is something that you genuinely could sit down and drink 6, 7, 8 of them, be comfortable with it. And like what I get from, certainly from the 12 acres one that I'm drinking, and I'm sure it's the same for you, Owen, is this velvety smoothness of drinkability that you could just stay going and keep going back to it, and it's just a pleasure to drink.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I just can't say enough about it. But forget about that, hey.
Where's it from?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So this is from Lough Gill in County Sligo. And I'll tell you, so I think maybe to tip along as well into like this episode has probably been a bit more kind of history heavy, and I'm quite liking it, like and I'm going to keep going along this route, and I'm going to tell one of like the older Irish stories of the pursuit of Diarmid and Grania. So yeah, so
I genuinely thought you were on the Constance Markovich route.
No. I was thinking that as well, but I said because I love the old Irish stories, so I said I might bring this in because it's something that I've always said that I think Disney should definitely fucking just go hop on these stories and just rob them, like, you know, because there's some really, really powerful stories in this. But anyway, this pursuit from Irish mythology, it concerns kind of like a love triangle, I suppose, between Fionn McCool and the Princess Grania and the warrior Diarmid. So I suppose the story begins with the aging Fionn, so who is the leader of the Fianna, who are a band of warriors in Ireland, and they are he's grieving over the death of his wife Magnus. So Grania is kind of like the worthy woman of these, the kind of successor for Fionn post the death of Magnus. And they're kind of like, they've kind of arranged for a wedding and stuff like for that. But so Grania, I suppose, is not in love with Fionn. She's kind of distressed that Fionn is older than her own father. So she's actually in love with Fionn's handsome warrior Diarmid, and so there's a few different stories. There's this thing with like Irish mythology as well, whereby like there is like a story of like there is the Irish mythology of a story of, say, Fionn McCool or Tiernan Og or whatever, but like every time you hear it, there's like a different version, and like someone has added in like this little like tidbit about it of like, and Fionn had a cat or something like that was never in the original story. It's just someone adding in their own thing, but there is a thing in this that Grania was in love with Diarmid because he had a magical love spot on his forehead that made him irresistible. But anyway, so they're all at a wedding, or at the wedding. So Grania slips a sleeping potion into all the guests' drink and encourages Diarmid to run away with her. and he refuses at first out of loyalty to Fionn, but he relents and he runs away with him. Anyway, there's this whole kind of love triangle thing about it. But there's this funny thing that about how Diarmid initially refused to ride Grania out of respect for Fionn. And,
he wasn't from Clare.
What?
He wasn't from Clare.
yeah. But in one of these stories about it, that she says that the water that splashed up her leg is more adventurous than he is, and look, there's loads about it. There's like Diarmid dies in the end and all this kind of crack, but it's just I love these stories. Like there's so much folklore and everything about him, and I'd love to read up. I'd love to have someone do kind of a series. I'm actually at the moment I'm listening to an audiobook by Stephen Fry on Greek mythology. And I'd love someone. There probably is somebody now. I'm probably like insulting someone by having it, but that kind of like from start to end of this lovely mythology, and just kind of going through it, and like someone with a really nice voice like Stephen Fry as well, like
I would point you in the direction, it's maybe not mythology but more folklore, in terms of like Eddie Linehan's podcast Tell Me a Story, where like Eddie's from North Kerry and he lives in Clare, and he's got this wonderful story. Like he's probably like the last proper living Shanachie in Ireland.
Yeah.
But he does have this podcast series called Tell Me a Story, where he talks about fairies, and he talks about the role of women in Irish history, and he talks about these like curing women and this kind of shite, that kind of way. Like he doesn't talk about the ancient stories of Tiernan Og or Diarmid de Grania or Fionn Cool and this kind of stuff, but he does talk about like proper Irish folklore in terms of like Nishi, like the fairies and fairy forts and kind of all that kind of stuff. But there's definitely like a proper, like I actually got Niamh's goddaughter, our niece, Clodagh, for her birthday. I got her this book about Irish mythology, and it's kind of like this illustrated book about it. And this is kind of thing where, like, when lockdown's over, I can't wait to go up and read those stories with her as a kid, and kind of immerse myself back in those stories, because they're brilliant stories.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I remember when I was a kid as well. I can't remember it at all, but like there was a book I had whereby it was like a proper book, but like you had like these Irish storytellers reading along with you, so it was like an audio book and book combo thing. I thought it was absolutely amazing at the time. It was so good, like so powerful, like these people telling the stories, and like obviously kind of like taught you as well, like at the same time, like it was brilliant. But actually, so to link, I suppose, because I never did link Diarmid and Grania to Sligo, is that they settled and they lived in Ben Bulben in Sligo. So that was the link there, to them.
For anyone who isn't familiar with Ben Bulben, look up Sligo's football pitch and the view of Ben Bulben from there. Like it's just a geographical phenomenon.
It's amazing. Like
and well worth visiting if anyone does come to Ireland. Again, like that west coast of Ireland is just phenomenal for scenery. So go and see Clare and all that kind of shit, like, and then go to Kerry and visit West Kerry Brewing Company, up to Clare, and then drive on to Achill Island and on up to Sligo. You won't be disappointed.
So DJ, let us or help us reach the halfway point. We're 15 cans down, 15 counties down. What's the 16th can?
The halfway point is the county of my wife, Laois.
Laois.
Which, to be honest with you, like 100%, I want to put it out there, is one of the most boring counties of Ireland. Or so I thought. It's kind of funny, like my brothers would always take the piss out of Neve and say, like, I really didn't know that Laois was a real place until you existed, or like Laois is just this place you went through on the train, this kind of way. But for independent craft brewery perspective, Laois is pretty good because they have two of the best breweries in Ireland in Ballykilcavan, which we kind of just nominated to represent Cavan last week. And the beer that I'm drinking this week, which is Winter is Coming Oatmeal Porter from 12 Acres, top-notch beer. I think I described it a couple of minutes ago, and like this podcast is running quite long, so I think I'll be quite quick. It's this lovely velvety kind of porter, this kind of thing that, like, you could drink 7 or 8 of them without too much bother. However, I want to get stuck into Laois because genuinely, as someone who's married Laois woman, has spent a lot of time over the last 5-6 years of my life in Laois. I know very little about it. So I had to, in my recruitment, rather than just use Google and be lazy about it, I was like, I need to bring in the pros. So I went on WhatsApp and I got on to Enda Fitzpatrick, Neve's brother. I was like, Enda, spell out the situation to him. I was like, it's the Candemic, it's County Laois. I need some inside scoops on Laois. So Enda was like, not a bother. He got in contact to some of our mutual friends who we know from Laois, and they kind of put their Laois brains together and came up with a few gems. So this is what they came up with, and I don't know. I think this reflects more on Laois than it does on us, to be 100% honest. But there's some good ones in here. I have a few quick fire stuff. Maybe a bit of a change of tangent.
I love it.
It's a great way to end the podcast, to be honest with you. The first Pimm's distillery was founded in the industrial behemoth that is Mount Mellick, way back in 1783, before they moved to London.
Pimm's? No way.
Pimm's was first distilled in Laois. No, that one's boring. The Queen's sister, Prince Margaret, was married to Anthony Armstrong Jones. His sister, Susan Ann, was married to Lord de Vesky. The current Lord's father and Princess Margaret visited Abbeyleix in the 1960s. Like, Abbeyleix is like just a part of Laois. I don't know why I read that out, to be honest with you. Back in the day, the Lord of the Cosby estate travelled to the UK. Agriculture. This is a great story. Hold on, when we're editing, I'll do this right. So I have a good story from you for Laois now. Back in the day, the Lord of the Cosby estate travelled to the UK to an agricultural show because he wanted to buy a prized ram to improve the quality of the local stock. The ram was quickly stolen by farmhands for their own flocks and replaced with a shite ram, who the Lord used to show off to visitors when they came to the estate. The ram was named Lord Brockton. Owen, did you know that the carpets for the Titanic were made in County Laois?
No way.
Yeah, genuinely. They actually were made in Abbeyleix. The first shots of the 1916 Rising were fired in Clonard, where they derailed a mail train heading for Dublin. So the 1916 Rising actually started in County Laois.
That was an accident, though.
Oh, like, yeah, they completely, definitely. This is a good one. This has come from genuine Laois people, right? After ceding Rathdowney and Boris and Ossory from the county in a plebiscite, the area was returned to Laois after Tipperary discovered how useless it was. But there's actually, there's one or two quite good. Strongbow married Dermot McMurdo's daughter Aoife, and what would establish a link between the island of Ireland and Britain for the start of an 800-year occupation of the country. Strongbow and Aoife resided in the indomitable Rocket Dunmas, located outside Port Laois.
That's a link back to last week, where Strongbow and Aoife were married in Reginald's Tower in Waterford. And
yeah, 100%. And I think, look, like, to be 100% honest with you, I think there's only one way to end this podcast on, and it's the fact that the word fart was originally poo noise, but was changed after a leash man named Fart let off a stinker in Brian Boru's court that was so bad 5 people died and the event was marked by a day of mourning. From that day on, the bum events have been called farts. His full name, Fart Alphonse Healy. I have no idea if that's true, but that's come from leash people themselves. So to sign off on the second Candemic podcast, I just want to say that's the origin of the word fart.
If you want to listen to content like this, you can support the Snugcast on patreon.com/Snugcast. This has been an almightily good episode. I've had so much fun talking about shite. We're halfway through our Candemic series. We have 16 cans down, 16 counties down. As we said at the start of the episode, we're looking for support to get us to the 32 counties. We know there's not a brewery in every single county, but if you know any local brewer or anything that'll throw us a can or anything like that, we'll more than definitely take the can off their hands. We're more than happy to do so, and we're more than happy to support anyone who will do it for us. We've had such a good crack. You can contact us on all the social media platforms. We're Snugcast on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and we're now on Acast is supporting us to distribute this podcast. So you can support us there as well on our website there. So yeah, DJ, any other words?
I just want to say, all right, doing this series has made me, like, if I didn't appreciate the breweries of Ireland enough, I do now. Like, we're doing 32 cans, 32 counties in 1 month. But like, there are counties there where we had 6-7 breweries like that we could have chosen from. So just a fucking thank you to the brewers of Ireland, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and thank you to our Beoradors who are listening in. Thanks a million, guys.
The Beoradori, Sláinte Gigo Fóil.
Yeah, and yeah, look, lads, we'll catch you next week for episode 3. Already looking forward to it. Slán go fóill, guys.